everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are talking about new releases for 2024. So this is our third installment of 2024 new releases that we're going to be talking about. So these are going to be the Q3 releases, which is July, August, and September. I know we're already in July. This just means I'm a little bit behind. We're still going to talk about some July releases, things that I am excited for. I have 34 different books listed here today, which means we're going to have to jump on into it because this is going to be quite a bit. Like normal, I put these things on my list because I am interested in them. However, I don't always remember the summaries of them anymore by the time we get here. So we will be reading these summaries off Goodreads for the most part. So let's jump into it. There were two books that released on July 2nd. The first is The Undermining of Twyla and Frank by Megan Bannon. This looks to be a companion novel to The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, but it does say it's a heartwarming fantasy with a best friends to lovers rom-com twist like When Harry Met Sally, but with dragons. Looks to be set in the same town, same world, everything like that as the first book. However, I think it is a companion, but because I'm not entirely sure exactly how much spoilers is going to be in the synopsis, that's all I'm going to give you today. I am excited for this one, even though I haven't read the first one yet. Both of these sort of like fantasy, romance sort of things have been very intriguing to me though. Then we have The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. It says, if she wasn't dead already, Delphi would be dying of embarrassment. Not only did she just die by choking on a microwavable burger, but now she's standing in her shine like a star nightie in front of the hottest man she's ever seen. And he's smiling at her. As they start to chat, everything else becomes background noise. That is until someone comes running out of a door yelling something about a huge mistake and sends the dreamy stranger back down to earth. And here Delphi was thinking her luck might be different in the afterlife. When Delphi is offered a deal in which she can return to Earth and reconnect with the mysterious stranger, she jumps at the opportunity to find her possible soulmate in a fresh start at life. But in a city of millions, Delphi is going to have to listen to her heart, learn to ask for help, and perhaps even see the magic in the life she's leaving behind. Then we're going to be moving into July 9th. There are two more books that have already come out on that date. The first is All This and More by Peng Shepherd. And this says it's an inventive new novel about a woman who wins the chance to rewrite every mistake she's ever made and how far she'll go to find her elusive happily ever after. But there's a twist. The reader gets to decide what she does next to change her fate. One woman, endless options, every choice has consequences. Meek, play-it-safe Marsh has just turned 45 and her life is in shambles. Her career is stagnant, her marriage has imploded, and her teenage daughter grows more distant by the day. Marsh is convinced she missed her chance at everything, romance, professional fulfillment, and adventure, and is desperate for a do-over. She can't believe her luck when she's selected to be the star of the global sensation All This and More, a show that uses quantum technology to allow contestants the chance to revise their pasts and change their present lives. It's Marsh's only shot to seize her dreams, and she's determined to get it right this time. But even as she rises to become a famous lawyer, gets back together with her high school sweetheart, and travels the world, she begins to worry that All This and More's promises might be too good to be true. Because while the technology is amazing, something seems a bit off. Can Marsh really make her life everything she wants it to be, and is it worth it? And it does say it puts the readers in the driver's seat, so I don't know exactly how much of this is going to be like choose your own adventure style, but I'm very curious about it. I first heard about this when this author was doing a talk with V.E. Schwab at a book signing, bookstore thing that I went to, and this was back before this book even had a title, and I was very intrigued by it, so yeah. And then we also have Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. Misha is a jaded scriptwriter who has been working in Hollywood for years and has just been nominated for his first Oscar. But when he's pressured by his producers to kill off a gay character in the upcoming season finale for the algorithm, Misha discovers that it's not that simple. As he's haunted by his past and past mistakes, Misha must risk everything to find a way to do what's right before it's too late. And then there's two more books coming out July 16th, which is actually the day I'm filming this. So the first one that we have here is the Backtrack by Erin LaRosa. Life rewound. Nearly 20 years ago, Sam Leto left her small town of Tybee Island, Georgia to pursue her dreams of becoming a pilot. While she'd prefer to keep flying away from her painful childhood memories, her beloved grandmother Pearl decides it's time to sell the family home. Reluctantly, Sam is summoned back to pack up the house. The 2000s nostalgia from Sam's old bedroom hits Fall Out Boy posters, drawers of roll-on body glitter, and even her favorite CD player with a mixtape from her best friend Damon Rocha. Damon was always a safe place, and Sam often wonders what if her teenage self admitted her feelings for him back then. Mysteriously, the CD player still works all these years later, and somehow it has the power to show Sam an alternate version of her life. Song by song, Sam receives flashbacks from her past, senior prom, graduation, leaving home. But the memories aren't as she remembers them. They show her what could have been. Suddenly, Sam knows exactly what would have happened if she'd taken a chance with Damon, and she can't help feeling she made a terrible mistake leaving Tybee all those years ago. And we also have The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. This is inspired by the Chronicles of Narnia, and it is a wondrous novel that is like a fairy tale for grown-ups who still knock on the back of wardrobes just in case. As boys, best friends Jeremy Cox and Rafe Howell went missing in a vast West Virginia state forest, only to mysteriously reappear 6 months later with no explanation for where they'd gone or how they'd survived. 15 years after their miraculous homecoming, Rafe is a reclusive artist who still bears scars inside and out, but has no memory of what happened during those months. Meanwhile, Jeremy has become a famed missing persons investigator. With his uncanny abilities, he is the one person who can help vet tech Emily Wendell find her sister, who vanished in the very same forest as Rafe and Jeremy. Jeremy alone knows the fantastical truth about the disappearances, for while the rest of the world was searching for them, the two missing boys were in a magical realm filled with impossible beauty and terrible danger. He believes it is there that they will find Emily's sister. However, Jeremy has kept Rafe in the dark since their return for his own inscrutable reasons. But the time for burying secrets comes to an end as the quest for Emily's sister begins. The former Lost Boys must confront their shared past, no matter how traumatic the memories. Along the headstrong Emily, Rafe and Jeremy must return to the enchanted world they called home for 6 months, for only then can they get back everything and everyone they've lost. Then there are 2 books coming out on July 23rd. The first is Cross the Line by Simone Soltani. Formula One driver Dev Anderson's career is on the line after a social media disaster leaves him with an angry team and sponsors threatening to jump ship. He needs someone to help save his image. At a party in Monaco, he bumps into the woman who can fix it all. There's just one problem. She's his best friend's little sister, and okay, maybe there's another problem. He kissed her last year and hasn't been able to stop thinking about it since. Recent college grad Willow Williams needs a job. She may have a talent for seeing the bright side of any bad situation, but it's hard to stay positive when she's struggling to get hired. So when Dev offers her a temporary solution, she can't help but say yes, even if it means ignoring the crush she's had on him since childhood. Willow and Dev are determined to keep things strictly professional, regardless of old feelings and the blazing chemistry between them. But in the glittering and high-stakes world of Formula One, some lines are meant to be crossed. Then we also have Exes and Foes by Amanda Woody. Emma has been a thorn in Caleb's side since middle school. Having tarnished their friendship in 8th grade, she is now little more to him than an unkempt, unruly, disastrous bisexual mess. Over the years, she's gotten in the way of every romantic relationship he's attempted to settle into, using little more than mischievous charisma to lure them into her clutches. To Emma, Caleb sets the record for world's largest stick in the mud. Uptight, unbearably tidy, and a rule follower, he's exactly the kind of boring person her mother wishes she was. When she discovers they're both after Juliet, the new girl, Emma proposes a competition to nudge him out of the way. Whoever can get Juliet to kiss them first wins, and the opposition must bow out with the promise of never talking to her again. But plans go awry when Juliet seems mostly interested in hanging out with both of them together. Emma and Caleb just have to figure out whether winning Juliet's heart is worth the torment of constantly dealing with each other, and the risk of reopening wounds from a past they thought they had left behind. Then I also have 2 books coming out on July 30th. The first is Amethysts Alchemy by Rachel Renner. This is going to be a neurospicy rivals to lovers cozy romantic fantasy. I'm really intrigued by this one. I will say though that this subtitle of a neurospicy rivals to lovers cozy romantic fantasy being a subtitle on the Goodreads and things is turning me off a little bit, just because I would prefer the actual title to be the title and not have the tropes be a subtitle. Like, give that to me in the synopsis. However, I am still very curious. It says, I used to eat rocks as a child. The family doctor diagnosed me with pica, dooming me to years of intensive therapy and extensive dentistry work. It wouldn't be until much later that I would understand the all-consuming, insatiable craving that spurred me to eat a variety of rocks and minerals wasn't a mental disorder, but an innate gift that allows me to extract the magic contained inside them. Tourmaline for speed, celestite for strength, augite for a powerful laxative effect that I had to discover the hard way. 20 years later, I've hidden my abilities beneath a white lab coat, working as a small-town pharmacist who creates proprietary naturopathic tonics that treat everything from memory loss to erectile dysfunction. Those tonics, in turn, fund my expensive lifestyle of solo flying around the world to search for more rocks. What more could an airplane-loving, mineral-munching, magical alchemist want? Unfortunately, my arch-nemesis, Heath Spencer, has recently taken it upon himself to single-handedly ruin my life. No longer content with annoying me from afar with his overpriced, tacky rock shop, Heath has decided to further antagonize me by dangling the opportunity of a lifetime right in front of my face, traveling to an ancient copper mine in China, which is home to some of the rarest and most stunning minerals on Earth. It's not until after I'm trapped halfway across the world with my least favorite person on the planet that I'm forced to come face to face with 3 terrible realizations. Everything I thought I knew about Heath Spencer is wrong. Some minerals were never meant to be ingested, and worst of all, I'm not the only one who's been keeping secrets. One other thing, because apparently it was not in the synopsis here, there is an emotional, like, comfort, support pig here, and I think that's adorable, so yeah. And then we also have The Blonde Dies First by Joelle Wellington. Devon is always being left behind by her genius twin sister Drew. At this point, it's a fact of life. But Devon has one last plan before Drew leaves for college a whole year early, the best summer ever. After committing to the bit a little too much, the twins and their chaotic circle of friends learn why you don't ever mess with a Ouija board if you want to actually survive the best summer ever, and soon find themselves being hunted down by a demon? But while there's no mistaking the creeping, venomous figure is not from around here, their method doesn't feel very demonic at all. In fact, it's downright human, going after them in typical slasher movie kill order. And that means Devon, the blonde, is up first, and her decade-long crush, Yaya, is the final girl who must kill or be killed to end the cycle. Devon has never liked playing by anyone else's rules though, not even a demon's, and the longer this goes on, the more she feels Drew and Yaya slipping away from her even as she tries to help them all survive. Can they use their horror movie knowledge to flip the script and become the hunters instead of the hunted? Or will their best summer ever be their last? Okay, now we're going to be moving into August. And on August 6th, there are 3 books coming out. The first is Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch by Cody Crowley. Between her careless mom, her cheating ex-boyfriend, and her rotten reputation around town, Annie Lane is used to being left behind. But she's never been left for dead before, until she wakes up to find her body's been dumped on a mountain rumored to raise the dead. Annie can't remember who killed her, but she'll stop at nothing to figure it out and make them pay. Because girls like her don't get justice unless they take it for themselves. This is a propulsive debut that presents a furious and cathartic thriller skewering society's condemnation of unlikable girls. We also have The Truth According to Ember by Danica Nava. Ember Lee Cardinal has not always been a liar. Well, not for anything that counted at least. But her job search is not going well, and when her resume is rejected for the 37th time, she takes matters into her own hands. She gets creative, listing her qualifications and answers the ethnicity question on applications with a lie. A half-lie, technically. No one wanted Native American Ember, but white Ember has just landed her dream accounting job on Park Avenue. Oklahoma City, that is. Accountant Ember thrives in corporate life, and her love life seems to be looking up. Thunawoa Colson, the IT guy and fellow native who caught her eye on her first day, seems to actually be interested in her too. Despite her unease over the no dating policy at work, they start to see each other secretly, which somehow makes it even hotter. But when they're caught in a compromising position on a work trip, a scheming colleague blackmails Ember, threatening to expose their relationship. As the manipulation continues to grow, so do Ember's lies. She must make the hard decision to either stay silent or finally tell the truth, which could cost her everything. And then we also have Full Speed to a Crash Landing by Beth Revis. Beth Revis usually does young adult books, but I do believe this is going to be adult. I don't know if it is her first adult book, but it is also sci-fi, which I'm excited for. Ada Lamar may have gotten to the spaceship wreck first, but looters' rights won't get her far when she's got a hole in the side of her ship and her spacesuit is almost out of air. Fortunately for her, help arrives in the form of a government salvage crew, and while they reluctantly rescue her from certain death, they are not pleased to have an unexpected passenger along on their classified mission. But Ada doesn't care. All that matters to her is enjoying their fine food and sweet, sweet oxygen until Ryan White, the government agent in charge, starts to suspect that there's more to Ada than meets the eye. He's not wrong, but he's so pretty that Ada is perfectly happy to keep him paying attention to her, at least until she can complete the job she was sent to pull off. But as quick as Ada is, Ryan might be quicker, and she may not be entirely sure who's manipulating who until it's too late. Then there are 4 books releasing on August 13th. The first is Glass Houses by Madeline Ashby. It says a masterful near-future whodunit for fans of Glass Onion and Black Mirror, so I am intrigued. A group of employees and their CEO celebrating the sale of the remarkable emotion mapping AI algorithm crash onto a not quite deserted tropical island. Luckily, those who survived have found a beautiful, fully stocked private palace with all the latest technological updates, though one without connection to the outside world. The house, however, has more secrets than anyone might have guessed, and much darker reason for having been built and left behind. Kristen, the hyper-competent human emotional support technician, i.e. the eccentric, boyish, billionaire CEO Sumter's idea of an HR department, tries to keep her colleagues stable throughout this new challenge, but staying sane seems to be as much of a challenge as staying alive. Being a woman in technology has always meant having to be smarter than anyone expects, and Kristen's survival skills are more impressive than anyone knows. We also have Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca. This is the author of the Well Met series, which I absolutely love, and this is like a departure from the Renaissance fair world, so I'm very, very excited. Small Florida coastal towns often find themselves scrambling for the tourism dollars that the Orlando theme parks leave behind. And within the town limits of Boneyard Key, the residents decided long ago to lean into its ghostliness. Nick Royer, owner of the Hallowed Grounds coffee shop, embraces the ghost tourism that keeps the local economy afloat, as well as his spectral roommate. At least he doesn't have to run air conditioning. Cassie Rutherford possibly overreacted to all her friends getting married and having kids by leaving Orlando and buying a flipped historical cottage in Boneyard Key, though there's something unusual with her new home. Her laptop won't charge in any outlets, and the poetry magnets on her fridge definitely didn't read wrong and my house when she put them up. She's charmed by the colorful history surrounding her, and she's catching a certain vibe from the grumpy coffee shop owner whenever he slips her a free slice of banana bread along with her coffee order. As Nick takes her on a ghost tour, sharing town gossip that tourists don't get to hear, and they spend nights side by side looking into the former owners of her haunted cottage, their connection solidifies into something very real and enticing. But Cassie's worried she's in too deep with this whole haunted home ownership thing, and Nick's afraid to get too close in case Cassie gets scared away for good. We also have the Break-Up Pact by Emma Lord. June and Levi were best friends as teenagers until the day they weren't. Now June is struggling to make rent on her beachside tea shop. Levi is living a New York cliche as a disillusioned hedge fund manager and failed novelist, and they've barely spoken in years. But after they both experience public, humiliating breakups with their exes that spread like wildfire across TikTok rabbit holes and daytime talk shows alike, they accidentally make some juicy gossip of their own. A photo of them together has the internet convinced they're a couple. With so many people rooting for them, they decide to put aside their rocky past and make a pact to fuel the fire. Pretending to date will help June's shop get back on its feet and make Levi's ex realize that she made a mistake. All they have to do is convince the world they're in love, one swoon-worthy photo op at a time. 2 viral breakups, 1 fake relationship, 5 sparkling, heart-pounding dates. June and Levi can definitely pull this off without their hearts getting involved, because everyone knows fake dating doesn't come with real feelings, right? And then we also have The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. McLean. As head Phoenix Keeper at a world-renowned zoo for magical creatures, Isla's childhood dream of conserving critically endangered firebirds seems closer than ever. There's just one glaring caveat. Her zoo's breeding program hasn't functioned for a decade. When a tragic Phoenix heist sabotages the flagship initiative at a neighboring zoo, Isla must prove her derelict facilities are fit to take the reins. But saving an entire species from extinction requires more than stellar animal handling skills. Carnivorous waterhorses, tempestuous thunderhawks, mischievous dragons. Isla has no problem wrangling beasts. Inspiring zoo patrons, that's another story. Mustering the courage to ask for help from the hotshot griffin keeper at the zoo's most popular exhibit? Virtually impossible. Especially when the hotshot griffin keeper in question just so happens to be her arch-rival from college, Luciana, an annoyingly brooding and even more annoyingly insufferable know-it-all with the grace of a goblin and the face of a goddess who's convinced that Isla's beloved phoenix would serve their cause better as an active performer rather than as a passive conservation exhibit. With the world watching and the threat of poachers looming, Isla's success is no longer merely a matter of keeping her job. She is the keeper of the phoenix, and the future of a species now rests on her shoulders. There's just one thing she has to remember. She is also not alone. Then there is one book coming out on August 20th, which is going to be Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe. Halle Barrett's life has imploded after she's dumped by her hotshot ex, who also happens to be her coworker and the star of the online series she was producing. Without a new show to present for the company competition, she'll be out of a job. But inspiration can come from the strangest places, like the most handsome guy she's ever seen passionately discussing Bigfoot on a late-night docuseries. Hayden Hargrove made a name for himself as a cryptid expert on his hit podcast and is intrigued by the plucky, blue-haired producer who offers him the opportunity to lead his own web show. When the production team sees that Hayden's solo on-screen presence is bad enough to make a ghost blanch, Halle jumps on camera too, hitting him and his cryptids with a healthy dose of skepticism and enough chemistry to electrify their show to the top of the competition. As Hayden and Halle investigate the unknown, they unearth feelings for each other that shake their beliefs to the core. In their search for Mothman, aliens, and the truth, the most elusive discovery might just be learning to love again. Then there are 5 books coming out on August 27th. The first is Amari and the Despicable Wonders by B.B. Alston. This is the 3rd book in the Supernatural Investigation series, which started with Amari and the Night Brothers. It is a middle grade fantasy series that I have really been absolutely loving. The first book is sort of like a Men in Black but fantasy sort of take, where these fantasy elements and magic and fantastical creatures are in our world, but not everybody can see it, like the Men in Black sort of thing. Yeah, I've really been enjoying it. I actually have not looked at what this is supposed to be, and actually on Goodreads it says the descriptive copy is not yet available from the publisher. It could just be on this version that I have clicked up here, but because it is the 3rd book in a series and things actually go from like one book to the next, that's all you're gonna get from me. But I love it. I really do want to read this, and I have it on pre-order. Then we also have Long Live Evil by Sarah Reese Brennan. When her whole life collapsed, Ray still had books. Dying, she seizes a second chance at living, a magical bargain that lets her enter the world of her favorite fantasy series. She wakes in a castle on the edge of a hellish chasm, in a kingdom on the brink of war, home to dangerous monsters, scheming courtiers, and her favorite fictional character, the once and forever Emperor. He's impossibly alluring as only fiction can be, and in this fantasy world she discovers she's not the heroine, but the villainess in the Emperor's tale. So be it. The wicked are better dressed, with better one-liners, even if they're doomed to bad ends. She assembles the wildly disparate villains of the story under her evil leadership, plotting to change their fate. But as the body count rises and the Emperor's fury increases, it seems Ray and her allies may not survive to see the final page. This is an adult epic fantasy debut from Sarah Reese Brennan, who I do again believe usually does YA. Then we also have Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. The apocalypse will be televised. Welcome to the first book in the wildly popular and addictive Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman, now with bonus material exclusive to this print edition. Okay, so I think this is possibly one that used to be indie published and now is getting picked up by Ace. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like it was indie published and now it's getting traditionally published. It says, you know what's worse than breaking up with your girlfriend? Being stuck with her prize-winning showcat. And you know what's worse than that? An alien invasion, the destruction of all man-made structures on Earth, and the systematic exploitation of all the survivors for a sadistic intergalactic game show. That's what. Join Coast Guard vet Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut, as they try to survive the end of the world, or just get to the next level, in a video game-like trap-filled fantasy dungeon. A dungeon that's actually the set of a reality television show with countless viewers across the galaxy. Exploding goblins, magical potions, deadly drug-dealing llamas. This ain't your ordinary game show. Welcome, Crawler. Welcome to the dungeon. Survival is optional. Keeping the viewers entertained is not. Then we also have Magical Meet Cute by Jean Meltzer. Faye Kaplan used to be engaged. She also used to have a successful legal practice, but she much prefers her new life as a potter in Woodstock, New York. The only thing missing is the perfect guy. Not that she needs one. She's definitely happy alone. That is, until she finds her town papered with anti-Semitic flyers after yet another failed singles event at the synagogue. Desperate for comfort, Faye drunkenly turns to the only thing guaranteed to soothe her, pottery. A golem protector is just what her town needs, and adding all the little details to make him her ideal man can't hurt, right? When a seriously hot stranger mysteriously turns up the next day, Greg seems too good to be true, if you ignore the fact that Faye hit him with her bike. And then he subsequently lost his memory. But otherwise, the man checks every single box, causing Faye to wonder if Greg's sudden and spicy appearance might be anything but a coincidence. And then we also have Sunderworld Volume 1, The Extraordinary Disappointments of Leopold Berry by Ransom Riggs. And it says 17-year-old Leopold Berry is seeing weird things around Los Angeles. A man who pops a tooth into a parking meter, a glowing trapdoor in a parking lot, a half-mechanical raccoon with its tail on fire that just won't leave him alone. Every hallucinatory moment seems plucked from a cheesy 1990s fantasy TV show called Max's Adventures in Sunderland, and that's because they are. Not a good sign. In the blurry weeks after his mother's death, a young Leopold discovers VHS tapes of its one and only season in a box headed for the trash, and soon became obsessed. Losing himself in Sunder was the best way to avoid two things, grieving his mother and being a chronic disappointment to his overbearing father. But when the strange visions return at the worst possible time on the worst possible day, Leopold turns to his best friend Emmett for help. Together they discover that Sunder is much more than just an old TV show, and that Los Angeles is far stranger than they ever imagined. And soon he'll realize that not only is Sunderworld real, but it's in grave danger. Certain he's finally been chosen for greatness, Leopold risks everything to claim his destiny, save the world of his childhood dreams, and prove once and for all that he's not the disappointment his father believes him to be. But when everything goes terribly, horribly, excruciatingly wrong, Leopold's disappointments prove to be more extraordinary than he could have ever imagined. How do you battle darkness when no one believes in you, not even yourself? Then we're going to move into September. There are 3 books releasing on September 3rd. The first is Haunt Sweet Home by Sarah Pinkser. When aimless 20-something Mara lands a job as the night shift production assistant on her cousin's ghost hunting home makeover reality TV show Haunt Sweet Home, she quickly determines that her new role will require a healthy attitude toward duplicity. But as she hides fog machines in the woods and improvises scares to spook new homeowners, a series of unnerving incidents on set and a creepy new coworker force Mara to confront whether the person she's truly been deceiving and hiding from all along is herself. We then also have Primetime Romance by Kate Robb. Bryn's happy ending has gone up in flames. She's newly divorced and living with a roommate, Josh, to afford her mortgage. At least she's got Carson's Cove to binge, her beloved 90s teenage soap. So when a birthday cake shows up on her and Josh's doorstep, Bryn makes a wish for her own happily ever after. The next morning, she doesn't wake up in her apartment. She's in Carson Cove. And Josh is there too, except they're not Bryn and Josh, they're the sweetheart and the bad boy. Will they stick to the script, or will real love change the story forever? Then we also have Celestial Monsters by Aidan Thomas. This is the sequel and finale to the Sunbearer Trials, which I read earlier this year. Absolutely love. I am so curious to see how this is going to play out, because the first one was basically like magical trials, where whoever loses those magical trials ends up being a sacrifice to the god of, I can't remember exactly which one, but there's lots of different like Latin American inspired like gods and things like that, and I really love the characterization and the actual magical trials because that's one of my favorite things, and it ended on a cliffhanger because of course it did, and now this is the sequel / finale, so I am very, very excited for this one. Then one book is releasing on September 10th, which is going to be Splinter Ash by Marieke Nijkamp. This is going to be their middle grade debut after doing a lot of YA. Ash, or Princess Adalisa, is the youngest child of the Queen, recently returned to the city of Kestrel's Haven after spending 6 years on the other side of the country. Ash was hoping for a joyous reunion, but the reality is far from it. Her mother is holding the kingdom together by a thread, her brother has only taunts and jibes for her, and the court is full of nobles who openly mock and dismiss Ash, who uses a cane and needs braces to strengthen her joints. Splinter is the youngest child of one of Haven's most prominent families. She's fierce, determined, and adventurous, and she has her sights set on becoming a knight just like her older brother, even if everyone says she can't because she's not a boy. So what? She's not a girl either. A chance encounter throws Ash and Splinter into each other's orbits and changes the course of the kingdom's history. The princess and her new squire will face bullies, snobs, gossips, and their own disapproving families. But when they uncover a shadowy group of nobles plotting to overthrow the queen, they will show everyone how legends are born. Together. So this is the first in a trilogy, it looks like, and it's a love letter to non-binary, queer, and disabled kids. Like, it sounds adorable. Then we're moving on to September 17th, and there are 3 books releasing on that day. The first one is Exodus, the Archimedes Engine by Peter F. Hamilton. This is going to be a companion novel to a video game that I'm actually excited for. We don't have a ton of information about it yet, but it is called Exodus, and it looks like it's going to be a new like AAA sci-fi sort of thing in the vein of like Mass Effect and stuff like that. I'm very excited, and so this is sort of like a prequel, like getting us into that. It should give us more information about what's gonna happen. It says 40,000 years ago, humanity fled a dying Earth. Traveling in massive ark ships, these brave pioneers spread out across the galaxy to find a new home. After traveling thousands of light years, one fleet of ark ships arrived at Centauri, a dense cluster of stars with a vast array of potentially habitable planets. The survivors of Earth signaled to the remaining ark ships that humanity had finally found its new home among the stars. Thousands of years later, the Centauri cluster has flourished. The original settlers have evolved into advanced beings known as Celestials and divided themselves into powerful dominions. One of the most influential is that of the Crown Celestials, an alliance of 5 great houses that controls vast areas of Centauri. As ark ships continue to arrive, the remaining humans and their descendants must fight for survival against overwhelming odds or be forced into serving the Crown Dominion. Among those yearning for a better life is Finn, for whom Earth is not a memory but merely a footnote from humanity's ancient history. Born on one of the Crown Dominion worlds, Finn has known nothing but the repressive rule of the Celestials, though he dreams of the possibility of boundless space beyond his home. When another ark ship from Earth, previously thought lost, unexpectedly arrives, Finn sees his chance to embrace a greater destiny and become a traveler, one of a group of brave heroes dedicated to ensuring humanity's future by journeying into the vast unknown of distant space. Then we also had A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. Lorelei Caskell, a folklorist with a quick temper and an even quicker wit, is on an expedition with 6 eccentric nobles in search of a fabled spring. The magical spring promises untold power, which the king wants to harness to secure his reign of the embattled country of Brunestad. Lorelei is determined to use this opportunity to prove herself and make her wildest, most impossible dream come true, to become a naturalist, able to travel freely to lands she's only ever read about. The expedition gets off to a harrowing start when its leader, Lorelei's beloved mentor, is murdered in her quarters above their ship. The suspects are her 5 remaining expedition mates, each with their own motive. The only person Lorelei knows must be innocent is her longtime academic rival, the insufferably gallant and maddeningly beautiful Sylvia von Wolf. Now in charge of the expedition, Lorelei must find the spring before the murderer strikes again, and a coup begins in earnest. But there are other dangers lurking in the dark. Forests that rearrange themselves at night, rivers with slumbering dragons waiting beneath the water, and shape-shifting beasts out for blood. As Lorelei and Sylvia grudgingly work together to uncover the truth and resist their growing feelings for one another, they discover that the professor had secrets of her own. Secrets that make Lorelei question whether justice is worth pursuing or if this kingdom is worth saving at all. And then we also have Can't Help Falling in Love by Sophie Sullivan. Lexi Danby is looking for some no-strings fall fun. Once a college track star, she was forced to drop out when her father passed away. Now she's trying to make ends meet while putting herself through school and caring for her grieving mother. When her comically bad waitressing lands her directly in the path of a handsome, charming stranger named Will, Lexi may just have found the distraction she's been looking for. Their first date looks promising until a misunderstanding at a party thrusts Lexi and Will into a fake engagement they can't talk themselves out of. And Will turns out to be a member of Seattle royalty. Will Grand is heir to a major company and Seattle's most eligible bachelor, but he's been placed in charge of an important merger with a company that values family above all else and needs to show them that he's settled down. While a fake engagement is advantageous from a business standpoint, it's not so great for a budding relationship with a woman who's wary of commitment, with a woman who Will is beginning to care about much more than he could have anticipated. As Lexi gets a taste of Will's glamorous world and the pair keeps up the pretense of their fake engagement for the press, They decide to see where a more casual relationship takes them out of the spotlight. And amid apple picking in comfy flannels, outdoor breweries in the crisp air, and fun Halloween preparations, Lexi starts to realize the scariest part of the season might just be taking a chance on love. And then finally, there are 2 books releasing on September 24th. The first is The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Allie Carter. This is another adult novel, it looks like, a holiday rom-com twist. I'm very curious about this. It says, the bridge is out, the phones are down, and the most famous mystery writer in the world just disappeared out of a locked room 3 days before Christmas. Meet Maggie Chase and Ethan Wyatt. She's the new queen of cozy mystery. He's Mr. Big-Time Thriller Guy. She hates his guts. He thinks her name is Marcy, no matter how many times she's told him otherwise. But when they both accept a cryptic invitation to attend a Christmas house party at the English estate of a reclusive fan, neither is expecting their host to be the most powerful author in the world, Eleanor Ashley, the Duchess of Death herself. That night, the weather turns, and the next morning, Eleanor is gone. She vanished from her locked room, and Maggie has to wonder, is Eleanor in danger? Or is it all some kind of test? Is Ethan the competition? Or is he the only person in that snowbound mansion she can trust? As the snow gets deeper and the stakes get higher, every clue will bring Maggie and Ethan closer to the truth and each other. Because this Christmas, these 2 rivals are going to have to become allies, and maybe more if they have any hope of saving Eleanor, assuming they don't kill each other first. I'm also very intrigued by this because of the fact that this author is known for doing like spy novels, and this seems more like a mystery, but with authors trying to solve the mystery. Like, I'm very curious. And then finally, the last book we have here is called The Most Boring Book Ever. This is by Brandon Sanderson, and it is illustrated by Kazu Kibuishi. So this is an imaginative picture book for the whole family about an ordinary boy who is having an ordinary afternoon until an unexpected adventure takes him by surprise. So from what I understand, it is going to have a story on one side and illustrations on the other, or at least they're in tandem, with the story being almost completely different than what the actual pictures are. Yeah, it says they are teaming up to create a breathtaking picture book with enchanting illustrations for readers young and old. In this humorous epic adventure, a boy is, on the one hand, having a very ordinary day. He does his math homework, his chores, and takes a nap, all while a surprising adventure unfolds around him involving pirates, dragons, and other unexpected perils. So it's going to be something that plays hand in hand with that. I'm very curious on how this is going to go. So yeah, that is going to be all of the books I'm excited for. I think at the beginning of this video I said 34. It's actually 32. There were a couple books from last time that snuck back onto this list, and I was like, that's not right. I've already talked about these. So I took those off. 32 books that I'm excited for in quarter 3. And I'm slowly getting back into reading, so hopefully my TBR is not going to grow a ton in the meantime, but I had to mention these here. And if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye!
I'm showing the camera Africa.
Okay.